Let me just mute everyone. Right. Hello and welcome everyone to this gift call, reducing stress and empowering people in the workplace. It's an introduction class of Joy of Business. I'm a Joy of Business facilitator with Access Consciousness, apart from a facilitator of different other specialities. So I've been part of Access since 2014, and I've been a CF since 2016. So it's been a long journey and a very, very fruitful one. Being in Access has created so many things for me, things that I'd never ever even envisioned or never even dreamt of. Especially, once you sort of get married and you feel like that's it, then you're only dedicated to just taking care of your family and home and everything, and there's nothing else left. But somewhere I always wanted to travel the world, and this being a CF sort of created that for me, because whether I wanted it or not, I was traveling 3 to 4 times a year to different countries in the world, attending classes or conducting classes. And it was so much fun. So it's just a reality. Whatever you think, okay, whatever you want, be willing to dream, act, create, and achieve all your dreams, okay? Just be willing to, just know that everything is possible once you put your mind to it. Only thing it requires is 100% commitment to creating it, okay? If you've been trying for a very long time and things are not showing up, maybe you're not committed enough. It's different from wishing for something, and it's different. Don't just keep wishing and hoping and praying for things. When you really, really want something, just go all out and create. Ask for it and just say, okay, what will it take to create it? And then boom. The most important thing that you have to really focus on is getting out of head tripping, because most of the times things do not work out for you because some way you think yourself out of those situations, or you think yourself out of receiving that, whatever it is that you're trying for. Say, for example, initially when I started out, okay, so I started out as a bars facilitator, and when someone would call me for a class, to attend a class with me, I would talk them out of it, because somewhere energetically I was like, what if they don't like the class? What if I'm not able to facilitate them well? What will happen then? What if they pay me so much of money and it's not really fruitful, because I'm not sure if I'll be doing a good job. So I was so busy judging myself that I would pass on those judgments onto those people, and I would literally talk them out of it. Till I happened to attend my first Joy of Business class with a facilitator. I was so committed to attending that class. There were just 3 of us in that class. Okay. That class was conducted in Starbucks, because the facilitator had to let go of the venue because since only 3 of us had signed up for it, right? So we were like, I don't care, I'm still attending the class, even if it's in Starbucks. Okay. So what I didn't, so you need to realize that how potent creators each one of us is, right? In a huge big class, because I used to be a very shy person, I would never have even had the courage to get up and ask a question. But during that class that was conducted in Starbucks, there was just a huge high table with high chairs, and there were just 3, 4 of us over there. And so we were I was like literally face to face with that facilitator, and it was just so easy for me to ask questions, or maybe most of the time she was asking, okay, guys, do you have any other questions? Is there anything that's required? So, with just 2, 3 people, it was okay for me to just ask questions. And I did ask lots of questions there. And I did happen to tell her that I seem to be talking people out of attending my classes. And she laughed and laughed and laughed. And she's like, how can you even do something like this? And then I realized, when you're busy judging yourself, she made me realize this actually, that when you're so busy judging yourself, you don't even realize when you're passing on those judgments to other people, and then they start picking up on those judgments that you have about yourself, or the places where you are doubting yourself. And then they say, oh, hey, you know what, maybe this person, choosing a class with this person might not be such a good idea. Let me go to someone who's much more confident, or who knows what they're doing, right? It's a normal tendency for you to just get attracted to someone who knows the stuff, who's just out there, right? Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to be vulnerable. Sometimes being vulnerable is what attracts more people, okay? Because they see the authenticity, they form a connection. They also see, there are a lot of times when I do share these stories about my initial days in Access, and um, all those places where I was doubting myself and the things that I had struggled with. The reason I share that is with you guys is because somewhere at some stage in your life, you're also going through that. And if I can create that huge change, like a huge change, so can you. Okay, everything is possible. You just have to choose it. It's all there. Okay, now, so before we get started, does anyone have any questions before we start talking about, so how many of you are new, absolutely new to Access here? There are a few people who have not ever done any Access classes. So you just put up your hand and I'll know who you guys are. Or you can just write on the chat, that's also fine. Okay, who's this Q? Can you write a proper name, because it gets difficult otherwise to figure out. All right, I think all of you seem to have attended some Access class or something or the other. Anyways, for those of you, when I, just a minute, let me just read this message. How this joy of business helps us to run our business better? Okay, interesting question. I'll come to that very soon. So the joy of business makes you present to where are you subconsciously blocking the growth and expansion of your business? Where are you subconsciously pushing away your clients? Like I just gave you an example, right? I wouldn't even have thought that, it's my own self-doubt or self-judgment, because, I want everything to be perfect. So I would be very highly critical of myself, that because it wasn't perfect enough. So it's not that I wasn't good, but I wanted it to be perfect. And so those doubts and those judgments used to be, I was literally radiating those out to everybody, right? And people would just pick up, like they have those antennas where they'll just pick up those thoughts, feelings, and they would realize that, oh, maybe choosing a class with this person is not good enough. Or, so how many of you are doing that in your business? Lower your barriers and be totally present. How many of you are actually sending away clients just by your thought process? Sometimes it's not even doubt. Sometimes it is just like a point of view that, oh my God, the class is so expensive. Why would people choose a class like that? Why would they pay that much money? Right? I also had those points of view. Seriously, I did. And but when I started attending these classes, there's so much that started opening up for me. I just was a different person. It used to make me feel so good. And I realized that so many years I wasted and whiled away without these tools, because if I had access to all these tools, and there's so much more I could have created. And I was like, okay, fine. From now, this point onwards, with this level of awareness, what else can I choose? And from that time onwards, things are just there's just so much of ease with creation of money, with creation of clients, with creation of businesses. I never even thought I would get into a business or have this as a business. And so, most of us have a point of view that business means you need to be selling some product, or creating a business means, different things. You have some product to sell or give out, right? Have any one of you actually, what if you actually became present and realized that even the creation of your life is your business? You're out here in this world. How you create your life is also your business. So tools of Joy of Business is not just about creating a dynamic and expansive business. It's also about creating a dynamic and very, very expansive life. Creating things that you never ever thought possible, whether it is good relationships, whether it is great money, whether it's a great lifestyle and everything else. Okay. And whether it is literally about showing up in the world. So the Joy of Business tools help you in creating all that and much more. Okay. Now, let me just see what's there in the chat. Okay, there are 3 take class title business. All right, cool. Now, yes, Pramod, you have a question? Go ahead.
No, I just want to share about how you were talking about how we drive away clients, right? Just this is just as recent as Saturday, and with this program that I know I've spoken to you about, the Fitness is Freedom, which after your encouragement, it's taken me this time, but I finally did it. Thank you very much. The person who was interested, who I spoke to, and I had this exact same thing that you said about what you experienced as a bars facilitator. I think, what if I fail with the expectations that this person has? And guess what? 24 hours later, at the time of the conversation, the person said, I'm so ready. Let me know when you're starting. And I sent the details 24 hours later. And then within 5 minutes, I get the message saying, no, not right now. I have XYZ commitments. And then I realized, oops. But the best part was, thanks to the tools of access and everything, I was able to get out of it without staying in self-judgment for more than like a few seconds. I was like, okay, cool. So I recognized how easily I could do this, and how can I use this going forward? So it was just like so quick.
I know. So the moment you try and start head tripping about how it will get created, or what are the things that are required, and why is somebody choosing this? How will I be able to contribute? Will I even do a good job? All those doubts, you're literally pulling it out.
And the weird part was, with the other people that I spoke to, I was willing to, take that leap of faith and say, and in fact, I told them, I said, I honestly don't necessarily have every detail panned out, but I'm willing to go and ask questions every step, and I'm going to create it there. But with this one person, it was so apparent. I wonder what I was aware of or what, but it actually turned out exactly like how I had it in the back of my mind, which I only acknowledged after the event occurred.
So let me talk a little bit about what, when most of us, when we go into marketing something, or literally spamming people, sometimes that pushes people away. Okay. A lot of, if you would look at most of those places where they'll say, okay, this is what you'll get out of it. This is what it is. And then it's like known as a funneling. Okay. And they'll funnel people into choosing something. It might be a tried and tested thing, but what are you aware of? Is that funneling thing fun for you? What invites people to you, your business and your products, is what you're being. Right? Your being is who will invite and attract those clients to you. Okay. So Pramod, when I've told you earlier, right? When you're into fitness programs and all, when you're going for a jog, just make a short video. Okay, I just completed a jog and this is what happened. And this is what I saw. I saw a bird, on a tree. It could be just something as random as that, right? But when you just talk about it, now what you're doing is people start seeing your level of commitment to the fitness, to your own fitness. And then you can just sort of share some tools that, this kind of a warm up really contributes. You must always warm up before the run or after the run. You can just start sharing little snippets of information and have an Insta page or a Facebook page. Just go live, just do that. Maybe hardly 5 to 10 minutes. And soon there'll be people who start following you. And there's so much. Then when you announce a class, they know there is this guy who has this level of commitment to it. Okay. And I've told you this before. I'm not sure if you're doing it, But everywhere you're trying for everything to be perfect and waiting for everything to be perfect before you can put yourself out there in the world, will you not destroy and uncreate that piece? Right from
Yes.
good, bad, pot, pok, online choice, boys and
This,
beyonds, because
this
that
program is
perfection.
proof that I'm not waiting to be perfect, Smriti. I assure you.
So everywhere you're hesitating, still showing up, poking pot, all that. It's easy to say, but when you actually have to start being there, out there, it feels very daunting. Okay, but once you're in it, that's it, and then you start enjoying yourself so much because it's something that you're having fun with, right? Just go all out there.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
wait
so
for it to be
so
perfect.
looking forward to it. It was supposed to start today, but everybody wants to move it to tomorrow. So that's one more day of prepping myself and getting out of my house.
Also one more thing, when you start, especially if there are any people who conduct access classes here, when you have people sign up for your classes, and if you start preparing for that class, or you start like suppose there's a bars class and you're conducting a bars class for the first time, if you start preparing for that class, okay, this person is coming, that person is coming, and there's few more, and you can already start perceiving because their being is talking to you. The moment you start facilitating them, you start preparing for your class the next day because you don't want to be judged as a bad facilitator. You already killed the creation, because very soon you will receive a call from them saying, hey, I can't make it, or I'm not well, or can you postpone the class for me? And you'll realize suddenly all of them have disappeared. It's because you've already facilitated them, because you were preparing for the class. So just be very aware of that. Okay. So, okay. Now let's move to the topic, today's topic, which is
Hi,
reducing.
Smriti. I have a question.
Yes, Natasha, go ahead.
Yeah, see, for me is I get inquiries, that you do bars classes and everything, and then they ask me the charges, and after that they are gone with the wind.
I just shared why, right? It's not
But
the money. I just shared the reason. What are your points of view about conducting those classes? What are your points of view about receiving money? If you have a point of view, the classes are expensive, then you will anyways put that point of view out energetically, right? And then they tend to pick it up and they'll create, or you'll end up attracting such people. So you don't have to have that point of view. You just put out, you just say, who will this class contribute to? And then just be there. Sometimes when you're trying too hard to sell a class, that also pushes people away. So be very present to what exactly is going on. Your being is what will attract people to attend or choose something with you. What you're being out in the world is the greatest invitation. Okay, just know that.
cool. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about reducing stress. So, are you one of those 99% of the working population that are literally stressed out and exhausted? How many of you feel really worked up, especially when you are working in corporates and working with certain people, or even if you have a business partner? How many of you feel really stressed out at times, or you can actually perceive the what do you put it? How do I put it across? You can literally perceive certain people's projections on you, right? You know what the boss wants, and you know that the boss is judging you for not doing whatever is expected, or you just know what the other people around you are expecting. So people tend to just project their thoughts. Like I mentioned, I spoke about it in the previous class, right? The previous call. People just tend to project their thoughts onto you, and being very psychically aware, we tend to pick that up and we start getting worked up because we know what we're doing is maybe, how like some of us are very last minute creators. Okay. So when certain people want things completed within a certain time span, that doesn't show up, then it starts bugging those people because they feel that if you haven't done it in this 1 week, how can you do it in just 2 days more, right? But the moment you realize that you are a last, Aisha, can you shut the door? The moment you realize that you are a last minute, acknowledge that you are a last minute creator and you will do it last minute, because that's when all your creative juices flow out, and that's when you get some brilliant ideas, and that's when you're able to clinch all those deals. Acknowledge that. You don't have to get stressed up because others are getting stressed. Sometimes we're picking up their points of view, their thoughts. Okay. So just be very present to that. How many of you actually really, really enjoy business but are actually surrounded by the overwhelm of other people? And then you start making yourself wrong for that. Because you feel overwhelmed, totally overwhelmed, you feel there's something wrong, maybe I'm not doing enough, and you go into self-judgment. Okay, just be very present to that. There is a way to sort of start reducing stress from the workplace. Okay, and the way to do that is to be empowered by these tools, which I'll be sharing with you. They're very, very simple tools. If most of you have done Access, you would already be aware of those tools. They are very basic tools of Access, but you have to start using it all the time, 24/7, whenever required. Okay. Be willing to be empowered with these tools and be willing to empower others also with these tools. Okay. The first tool is this even mine? Okay. All of you, if you've done Access before, you already are aware of this tool. Okay. So the first step to reducing stress and being empowered is to recognize what is yours and what isn't. And you're aware of everyone and everything around you. Okay. And you know when someone is really upset and frustrated. Even if they don't say anything, you can just perceive it because they're projecting it. How you energetically perceive things, you're able to perceive that also. And interestingly, and most of the time, all too often, instead of recognizing that it's the other people around you who are upset, you start judging yourself and thinking that you are the one who's overwhelmed and totally stressed. Okay, so when you notice any such thoughts or emotions, ask, okay, who does this belong to? Send it all back to the sender with consciousness attached. Right, wrong, good, bad, what work, online shots, boys and beyonds. What I just said right now was, I use the Access Clearing Statement, which you can Google and find out the accessclearingstatement.com. There's Dr. Dane here who's explained it very dynamically. I will not go into explaining it, but just know that it has the capacity to, it's one of the verbal tools that we use to clear anything that's keeping us stuck. It goes back to that point in time when that issue was created and it just clears it, literally blasts it out of your system. So you don't have to worry about it. So you don't have to waste time thinking and head tripping about why are you like this? Just know, okay, this is not working for me, out of my body or out of my space, right? It's like a quick way of creating what you desire. So when you ask, okay, who does this belong to? If you start feeling really lighter when you ask this, guess what? It just wasn't yours. That's the reason you're feeling lighter now, right? So asking this question allows you to have joy and fun of business even when no one else does, because you are no longer the victim or the prey to other people's insanities or their issues or their overwhelms or their doubts or judgments, right? You realize, okay, this doesn't belong to me. So now you are busy creating your own reality based on what you know is possible, instead of being the effect of other people's issues, right? Second tool is ask questions. So before we go on to the second tool, let me just talk a little bit about, let me give you an example for you to understand this better. So suppose you are, I've given this example very often, but for the hell, let me just do it again. Suppose you're going out for a picnic. In the morning, you have to just go for a picnic to the beach, and you are meeting all your friends. There's a sort of a reunion happening, and you're really, really looking forward to it, very, very excited about it. And you sleep well on time, you have everything ready and packed and everything, right? And you wake up in the morning in a really good mood because you're going to meet all your friends. And so you leave early because you're ready on time, so you leave early. Now, when you're passing by a traffic signal closer to the destination, there is this huge traffic jam over there. There's something wrong with the traffic signal. Okay, some light is stuck. Now you're like, okay, you're still whistling, singing songs, just enjoying, because you are pretty early, you're not rushing anywhere, and you're just enjoying and you're looking forward to the picnic. However, in less than 10 minutes, you start getting really worked up and irritated. Like, why isn't the traffic moving? What the hell is going on? And you start perceiving or feeling that weird that stress and that issue and agitation in your tummy, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And you just start getting very, very, very angry. Now, who does that belong to? How many people who are there at that traffic signal waiting to reach someplace are really getting worked up and agitated? How much are you actually picking up their issues? Because you're not in rush, right? And you slept well, you're not in stress or anything, but you still start picking up that issue, that anger. So that's how sneakily, you start perceiving the overwhelm of other people and the stress of other people and thinking it's yours. So who does this belong to? Is this even mine? Who does this belong to? Send it all back to the sender with consciousness attached, followed by the clearing statement. This really, really contributes to creating a level of ease that's beyond everything. Okay, so there's also an app on the Android as well as iPhone users can just download that app. Who does this belong to? It's a free app. You can just download it and set a timing for every 10 minutes. And so that it flashes. So every 10 minutes, let it flash on your phone screen. And the moment you see it, so whatever thoughts, feelings, emotions you're having at that moment, just say, okay, who does this belong to? Send it all back to the sender with consciousness attached. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, or nature, spoils, and beyonds. And 3 days of doing that, you'll feel like you've actually been meditating, and there's a level of calm that will be there in your space. Okay. Now, tool number 2 is ask questions. The questions open the doors to all possibilities. Okay, so when you ask questions, you are empowered to know what you know, not what others want you to know, what you know. Okay, so when you ask other people questions, you invite them to the same. Suppose somebody is saying something or is in sort of a, is not sure what path to take. When you start asking them questions instead of just deciding for them, when you ask them questions, then you're empowering them to know what is lighter for them, what will create more for them, and then they get to choose that. So here are a few questions that you can ask. What else is possible that I've not yet considered? And what possibilities are available that I've not yet instituted? So you see, what happens when we ask a question is there is no conclusion. Every time you conclude an answer, or you conclude something, or you give an answer, you've already decided or defined what can be created or what can't be created. Let's take, for example, if you are putting out a high ticket class, okay? If you have a point of view that the class is too expensive, why would people choose this? Or if you have a point of view that, they're struggling with money, where will they be able to create money to attend this class? You tend to, and then you think of offering it free to them, or because you really care about them and whatever, you'll go into all those things. That actually is not really operating from any questions. You are concluding that so-and-so cannot afford to choose this class because of whatever reasons. Okay. Now, what if I ask you to be present when you really wanted to choose something, you've made it happen. You've created the money and you've made it happen. Even if it, say, for example, let's leave alone a class. Suppose it was a trip to, say, maybe Maldives, right? And all your friends are going and you're really looking forward to it. You will create the money because you really, really want to attend it. There's an energy about it, right? So whether you have the money or not, it will show up because you're so excited about that trip. So similarly, when it comes to choosing something, ask questions. Okay, what will it take for me to choose this? What is required here? What do I have to be and do this to choose this? Then things start opening out, right? Now, why do we ask questions? The reason we ask question is because which I mentioned in the previous call also, there's a limit to the amount of knowledge that we have, or whatever schools, colleges, universities that we've been part of, right? All the sources of knowledge that we have from books, from different conversations with different people and media and so on. Now, when we are looking for reasoning or reason or justification for something, or trying to reason out or look for a logical reason for something, we are using or accessing only that limited knowledge that we have access to. When we start asking questions, we are asking questions to the universe, to the more, to the consciousness, the high levels of consciousness that's present in the universe. We're just putting out the question out there, and the universe is omnipresent, right? It is everywhere. It is not limited by any boundaries or any fencing or anything, right? It has access to everything simultaneously. It's omnipresent. So it will start bringing you answers in the form of awareness. So suppose you're getting stuck in your business and things are not moving for you. When you say, okay, what else is possible that I've not yet considered? Automatically, you start getting awareness, or pathways will start opening up. It might not necessarily happen immediately, but when you have to be in question throughout the day or for the next few days, and soon there'll be pathways that will open up, you'll start getting information about what is the next step required. Okay, and things start shifting and moving. What are the possibilities that are available that I've not yet instituted? What else is required here? What do I have to be and do, universe? Show me, what are the infinite possibilities? These are the kind of questions you can start asking instead of getting stuck and saying, oh my God, this is it. Now I'm stuck, or nothing. It's like, it can't get worse than that, right? When you're already concluding an answer, your point of view will create your reality. So just be very present to that. So when you ask a question, you're opening up more possibilities. So no matter what is going wrong in your life, in your business, in your relationships, or with your body, just asking questions opens up a huge level of possibilities for you to choose from. Question, choice, possibilities, and contribution. These are the 4 things that you use to create anything in your life. Okay. Now, what else? Interesting point of view. That's a tool number 3. Okay. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. So your points of view are running your life, and your points of view determine your experience in business. So if you are really stressed, it's because of that point of view. Okay. So just know, changing your point of view changing your point of view changes anything and everything. Okay. Everything that's keeping you stuck. So let me give you an example. Usually our points of view are created by our own judgments about ourselves, or the judgments that we perceive from certain people. Say, for example, there is a friend who's judging you, or there is somebody who's really, really judging you, maybe a colleague in your office, because you've been given the project, you've been asked to, Anisha, just give me 2 minutes. You've been asked to handle that particular project, and it's a big project, okay? And so your colleague is very upset and jealous that you've been given that account and not that person, not him, right? And what he'll do is that jealousy or that points of view that he has about you he'll just start projecting it onto you. Let's see what if this guy fails, he's going to fail. Like, so he will start projecting that onto you. And then you start getting those thoughts, oh my God, what if I fail? What if I don't do well? Who does that belong to? First of all, okay, be present to that. And then say, okay, if you get an idea that this guy is not really wishing well for you, start saying, interesting point of view. He has this point of view. Okay, an interesting point of view. I have this point of view. What you're doing is you're not aligning and agreeing with that point of view, and you're not resisting and reacting with those points of view. When you do not align and agree or resist and react, you do not let those points of view stick to you. If you do not do the interesting point of view, you allow those points of view to stick to you, and then you end up creating yourself based on those points of view. And that's not fun, because That's exactly what that person wants, for you to fail so that he can look like a winner or he can look better in the boss's eyes, right? So why would you, when you're aware of certain people's agendas, interesting point of view, they have this point of view. That creates such level of ease, especially in workplace. Yes, Anisha, go ahead.
I think you just answered my question.
Ask the question
But
again, still, yeah.
so the question was that it's related to me and what I experienced in my career earlier when I was working in a corporate company, and my boss was really really mean to me and really shitty. And she was a great boss, but she was really nasty to me. So like people go through these experiences at work when they have very mean bosses and they don't tolerate you. So just saying interesting point of view, I have this point of view that she's a bitch will solve the situation.
Hold on. That she's a bitch is a conclusion.
Or that she's really nasty or mean. And she
No,
was a
interesting
bitch to
point of
me.
view. She's choosing to show up like this.
But sometimes it's
Interesting.
really difficult, Smriti, when you are dealing with a bad boss at work and you're seeing that person day in and day out for like 8 hours in the day,
Okay,
and you're
Anisha,
sitting in the same room.
what usually happens is, because she's being mean and nasty with you, you are now have your barriers up against her. Okay. Now, when you're interacting with her in the office workplace, you have your barriers up and you have a whole lot of judgments about her, that she's a bitch or she's mean and nasty. Now, that judgment that you have about her is what she is responding to. You get it? So the moment you lower your barriers and have no judgment in your space about her, she won't have anything to respond to. She won't have anything to say. Do you get it?
Interesting. Yeah, I'm getting it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So just being present, lowering your barriers, having no judgment, like total blank space, it really creates so much.
And we can do this with our relationships and our
You can
family
do it
members.
with our
everyone.
relationships. In fact, I don't know if I mentioned it in the previous call. I did that with my husband. I had to go for a maestro class, and he had to go for a trekking trip, and my daughter would have been alone in the house, and none of us wanted that. So for like 10 days, I didn't want to leave my daughter alone in the house for 10 days. And so I was like, can you cancel or postpone your trip? He's like, all my cousins are going, and they've already decided. Can you postpone your trip? I said, no, this comes only once a year. This class is only once a year, and I have to go to Rome for this class. And he's like, but you've been traveling so often. You've gone out almost 4 to 5 times this year. So I said, but you travel every month. You go to twice or thrice a month. Okay. So he's like, no, but that's my job. I said, when will you realize this is my job? Now there was like a back and forth happening. Okay. And he was getting really worked up and agitated. And then you know how it starts, like, okay, you're neglecting the house, you're not taking care of the kids. The one thing leads to everything else, right? And I was like, okay, this is not the time. So all I did was I lowered my barriers and I started pulling energy from him. And I had no judgments in my space. So I just kept looking at him and listening to whatever he's saying. And I kept saying interesting point of view. He has this point of view in my mind. You're not supposed to say it out loud, right? I did that. Within less than 10 minutes, he's like, you know what? He just picked up the phone and he messaged his cousins that, hey, I will not be able to join for the trek. And I was like, wow, that was fast. Like, that was really fast. Less than 10 minutes, he did that. And then the next day when he was to leave on his flight, he's like, should I carry this trekking bag? Because everything was prepared already. And he's like, what's the point carrying it all the way to Delhi? Because I might not be able to go. And eventually I said, just take it with you. You never know. So he went to Delhi and he must have spoken to his mom, and who offered to come to Mumbai for the next 2 weeks so that he could go for his trek and I could go to Rome for the maestro class. So sometimes when you're not willing to give up, you don't have to start arguing. You just have to lower your barriers and remove all the judgments that you have at that moment. Because I could have also had a lot of judgment based on, he always does this, he never lets me do this or whatever. There can be so many things that start showing up. So I just let go of all that. When there was no judgment for him in my space, he didn't have anything fight with or respond to, right? It just fizzled out. So that's what you have to be in workplace.
You're saying that this interesting point of view tool, underneath this tool, is it that when we just lose our judgment and we become vulnerable, that's where the magic happens? That's how this tool works? Is it that, or is it just a statement?
Interesting point of view is a tool where you are not willing to be the effect of other people's judgments about you. You are not willing to stop yourself because somebody is judging you. Right? Srinivasan has also asked a similar question. At workplace, somebody jealous about me, making my character is bad and gossiping to others. What should I do? You do the same thing, Srinivasan, what I just said. Interesting point of view, that person has this point of view. He or she or they have this point of view. And just know the reason people are judging you are because the reason people are judging you is because you are being something in the world, something out there in that office where you're choosing and creating a dynamic life and creating so dynamically that they have to look for every reason to pull you down. So the only reason people judge you is to control you. And when they start talking to other people and start gaslighting you, just know you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track, right? So just be present to that. Just do not stop yourself because somebody is judging you or saying things about you with different people. You cannot go around proving to everybody, right, about what's right and what's wrong. However, you can just be that energy of I'm choosing to create my dynamic life no matter what, and just keep focusing on that, because that's what will create more for you. Keep out creating whatever those people are blaming you for. Just because somebody is judging you doesn't make you that, right? And you're not here to, you don't have to go around proving to anyone. You do not have to prove to anyone. You keep just going about your own place the way you're doing. Right? All right. You okay, Anisha? Done with the question?
Yeah, done. Thank you so much.
We go to Suneet. Yes, Suneet.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Yeah, it's good to be in the class. See, I have 2-3 questions. First thing is, at the start only you said, in the start you mentioned that you were preparing for the class. So I didn't understand. I didn't understand that. What was your up to for that one thing?
Let me answer that, and then we move to the next.
Yeah.
So suppose I have a business done different class tomorrow, right? Now I know there are a few people who have signed up for that class, and if because I know about them, or I've interacted with them, or they might have mentioned why that I'm facing these problems with my business, so that's the reason I'm choosing this class with you. You know, if I start looking for information that what I'll talk about in the class the next day, while I'm searching for information for them, I've already facilitated them energetically. They will no longer need to attend the class. So you're talking clients out of it. You're energetically already facilitating people, right? Yeah, that's what happens. Say for example, let me give you another example which you'll understand better. Suppose suppose somebody is going to pay you for a particular product. Suppose you have a business where you sell suppose you sell iPhones. Okay. Now, suppose you get an order for, say, for example, maybe 20 iPhones. Now, that person is absolutely 100% sure he's buying from you. He's placed the order and everything. And he just says, give me 10 days and I'll pay you. And you're really excited about it because you're like looking at receiving the money from that sale. And you're like, okay, what will I do with it? Maybe there's something that you have been waiting to buy that you're looking to buy, or maybe there's a trip that you're looking forward to, or whatever it is, maybe a huge, like a Rolex watch or something that you're looking to buy. And so you start searching for that watch and you just automatically decide this money that I receive, I'm going to buy this. And then you go ahead and buy it also, or maybe you don't even buy, but you already finalized and everything. And you know that this money coming in, this is what I'll be doing. And you've already spoken to people about it, that I'll be buying a Rolex watch. Guess what? When you spend the money before you even receive it, it might not come to you. That person is very likely to cancel the order. It's just energy, right? You do not buy something or decide what you'll do with the money before you've even received it. Did I confuse you more?
Not exactly, but as far as my understanding, we need to have the feeling of that. Suppose I'm conducting a class, I should be of view, or maybe the feeling of that I will get this much number of conversions from with the class. I should have that feeling prior to initiate, right?
So, like, suppose I'm conducting this class or this call today. Okay, this is a call. It's a gift call. I have no point of view who will convert into attending a class with me. I have seriously no point of view, because when you have those agendas, it filters out and it pushes people away. I'm not doing it to sell something. I'm just here being an invitation to let you know there are a whole lot of possibilities for creation of your life and your business. There's so much more there is available if you're willing to choose. Come join. Okay. Beyond that, I will not say this is happening or that is happening. If you notice throughout the call, I did not even mention about any class coming up. I did not. There were some certain participants here who mentioned it, but I didn't. So that either you can just be an invitation, because that will invite much more people, or you can keep funneling and trying to get people or conversions. Just a couple of days ago, this Saturday, I just saw an ad on Facebook and I clicked on it because it was hardly any, I think less than $500 that they were charging. And it was something about marketing and stuff. And I was like, okay, let me see what they have. And the moment I started attending that whole thing, it was more about, come join our programs, come join our programs. So the whole day they were just literally pushing us into that. Sign this, let us know, sign up here, like my LinkedIn profile, like my Facebook, Insta, this, that. There were about 5, 6, like, do it and write it on the thing that you've done it. And I was like, hold on, what the hell is going on here? So it was a 2-day class. I didn't even bother attending the next one because I was like, what the hell is going on, right? So that it is your point of view which will start creating your reality. You don't have, it just pushes people away, right? So what do you do, Suneet? In which context are you asking?
Yeah, I got your point. Means I don't push people to enroll, or maybe I'm here to sell these things. I should be of good feelings, but ultimately there would be some.
You do talk about your thing. You do say, hey, in case any one of you is interested, this is what's coming up. And maybe you can do an intro call only to talk about that. Hey, guys, I have this call coming up or this class coming up. This is what it is all about. This is what it will create. 3 days of total, overhauling of all your points of view, which is limiting you. A whole lot of things you can talk about. The question that you'd asked me was if I start preparing for the class, which is like you already have people signed up for attending a class with you, and you start, and you're aware of their problems, and you start looking for what all you'll talk about in the class the next day with them. You've already facilitated them energetically the night before. They will opt out of those class, right? That's not going to be fun.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, the reason you're doing that is because you don't want to be judged as a bad facilitator, because you want to be able to, you're over enthused, so you want to be able to answer everything that, facilitate everything that they're asking you. But it's okay to say, hey, you know what? I don't know the answer to this, or I'm not sure about this. Let me get back to you. It's okay to be vulnerable and say that there. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I got your point. And if I am preparing for something prior to class or whatever it is, prior to enrollment, I should be very much prepared. Whatever the best possibility up to the extent possible. So that is okay.
Preparing for something is an ongoing thing. Like like I keep attending a lot of calls or classes, or I keep reading up a lot otherwise randomly, not with the thought process of this is what I'll talk about in the class. But when I'm reading stuff or I'm listening to some calls, that's it. I'm doing it for myself, but those things sometimes come out in the class. So that's a different way of being, right? It's about being on top of the game and choosing to be the best in what you're doing. So what was
and just
one
more thing I'll skip, means actually I think others are also waiting. So when you say interesting point of view, I'm the word interest itself, I am showing interest in that view.
Okay. So when you are saying interesting point of view, is because because it's bothering you. You are showing interest in that thing, right? Because it is bothering you. Now, when you say interesting point of view, they have this point of view. What you're doing is you're disassociating yourself from it. You're just acknowledging that it's interesting that they are choosing to show up like this. It's interesting that they are choosing to show their jealousy right on their face. Or it's interesting that this is what they expect me to do. Or it's interesting that they are judging me. When you're saying that, you are just pushing them out of your space. You're not aligning and agreeing and trying to justify what you're doing, right? You're just saying, oh, wow, interesting. And leaving it at that, not letting it go beyond.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know you were looking for a more logical answer for this because of the word interesting. I caught on. But what if you didn't look for any logical answer? What would that create? What if you just perceive the energy? It's like, here's someone judging me, and all I can do is say, hey, it's interesting that this person is choosing to show up like this, and how does it get any better? And just leave it at that. I'm not choosing to be the effect of what they want me to do. I can perceive their agendas, and I'm saying, cool, awesome. I'm not resisting and reacting to it, and I'm not aligning and agreeing with it. I'm just saying it. It's just interesting. That's it. And leaving it at that level, at that space. So cool. Thanks for your questions, Suneet. Yes, Jay Kumar.
Yeah, this is pretty much when most part of the thing is answered already. So the situation is, I had a meeting with my super boss. He got interesting point of view from my immediate boss, and he said, I give you 30 days, we'll say bye-bye to each other. The same thing happened to me the last year as well with my previous employer. And
the boss said, I'll give you 30 days.
Yeah.
And asked you to leave. Okay.
Yeah. And I just keep asking myself, what is wrong with me? Right. So
hold on. That's exactly where you have to ask, what's right about this I'm not getting.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it. Yeah. But I'm emotionally attached to it. But why? And maybe something I have to learn from this, but it's keep repeating. So just trying to.
Universe, can I have more awareness and clarity with this? What exactly is going on here? Can I have more information here? What's right about this that I'm not getting? What are the infinite possibilities available for me now from this point onwards? Sometimes, sometimes when you're asking to create a business of your own and you don't want to take that leap right now as yet, but because somewhere you feel you're not ready for it. But if you've been asking to create your own business, maybe this is an opportunity to start that, right? Sometimes you create being laid off or asked to leave So you create being pushed into choosing to create your own business. Sometimes that also happens. Okay, I know someone who was the head of. He was heading the entire northern region of HSBC Bank, the training department, and he's pretty good at his work. Somewhere, his boss was very threatened by him. Okay, she was really threatened, and she would keep putting him down for whatever reasons. And he was like, he had an awareness about, he'd been wanting to start his own business, but his family were not allowing him to sort of leave, and they kept talking him out of it. They're like, because there's a security of receiving money every month, right? And venturing into a business suddenly out of the blue, especially when you have no clue how to go about it, can be very daunting. So he kept pushing it for almost 2 years. And then HSBC was laying off a lot of people, and he was one of them to be laid off. Okay. And first he was like, what the hell just happened? How could they just do this to me? Because he knew how good he was. And so did his boss, and so did the people working under him. He was pretty brilliant in his work. And he was like, okay, how does it get any better than this? And he started his own business, and now he's consultant. He's doing pretty well, and he's earning 5 to 6 times much more than what he was earning being in a job, or maybe much more than that, right? And huge chunks of money. So sometimes we end up creating that in our life, especially like if there is a relationship, if you're in a relationship, if you are a humanoid, which whenever you do attend some advanced access classes, you will know what that is. You would never ever leave the relationship, even though you are done with that relationship, right? You will create somebody else leaving you. And then you say, oh, that person left me. But you'll be secretly very happy and relieved that, oh, thank God. Or you'll feel, go through that whole gamut of drama of, oh my God, how could this person leave me? And what's right about this, or what's wrong about this, and a whole lot of things. But in heart of heart, you'll be like secretly very relieved that, cool, this person chose to leave me. I did not leave that person in lurch. So sometimes we end up creating that.
Hang on. Already I got certified as a humanoid from Geet. Second time. Thank you. Thanks
yeah.
For
so that's what shows up, right?
Yeah, but I really don't know what business and what venture is waiting for me. But still, this is continuously happening for me, and I'm just wondering. Let's see what is waiting out there.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, Pramod.
If I may, I wanted to share what you were talking about earlier, about how people gaslight you and so on. Because I didn't really get to use the tools, but it was just that everybody else was working hours that they didn't want to work. They couldn't do what they wanted to do. However, I was just clear that I'm going to give the hours that I need to give, and other times I'm going to do what I enjoy doing. So it was now I recognize it was so apparent that I was just perceiving everybody's judgments about the wrongness of it. So nobody ever said, they actually said, oh, you're doing amazing. I don't know how you're so efficient and all of that. I just wish I'd used the tools better back then when I was still in the workforce. But yeah, now in just recognizing how interesting point of view can actually work would have given me the awareness of what it is, and not judge myself for everything that I was doing that was light for me. I know how several days, weeks, months were back then when I just couldn't recognize what I was doing wrong, because I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just perceiving everybody else's judgments about what they weren't able to do. So yeah, the tools are really amazing if we use them. So everybody, I just wanted to share this because I thought it might just help the other folks who are listening and who may not know what it is. You just use the tools, you will be able to see this in the way that it works for you.
Thanks for sharing that, Pramod.
Yeah.
Basically, you just have to get out of head tripping. Don't look for the hows and why something happened. Just just follow the energy and choose all the things that are fun for you. When you're choosing something that's fun, that's what starts opening up and creating a very dynamic life and business for you. All right, so somebody has written any books for reading, please read The Joy of Business book by Simon Molasses. It's a brilliant book. One of my most favorite. Second book that you can read is Being You by Dr. Dane Peer. These two books are my most favorite. And yeah, and also Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. That's also another book that you can read. There are classes also for Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, which is coming up because someone asked me for the book. I'm just mentioning there is a class coming up for that also. It's a 6-month class and twice 2 calls in a month. So yeah.
Oh, by the way,
ones.
Getting out of debt joyfully is not something that means you have to be in debt to get out of it. It is a lot about tools and money and creating your life.
Yeah, you don't have to be, thanks for bringing up that point, Pramod. You don't have to be in debt to choose those classes, especially that particular class. It's more about recognizing what is creating that debt in your world and what can you be and do to outcreate it. And it's 70% is all about creation of money. So yeah, what else is possible? So before we end the call, I'll just make you guys do a little exercise and then we'll be good to go. And if you haven't registered, give me five to 10 minutes before I can. Okay, you must have registered. That's why you're here on this call. So it's okay. Cool. I'll be sending you guys a recording for this very soon. Let me just do this exercise with you guys. Okay. So, anytime you're getting worked up in your workplace, anytime you're getting worked up about anything, even if it's in a relationship or anything to do with your body or with the money issue. And okay, before we move on, with money issue, if you've been trying to change issue that's you've not yet been able to change, sometimes you're not able to change it because it doesn't even belong to you. So you tend to pick up other people's thoughts, feelings, emotions, or their pattern of creation of money, or their pattern of lack of creation of money, right? Or the other issues or maybe relationship issues, you'll end up picking up those same patterns. It might be mimicking your parents' relationship issues or lack of money or whatever, or someone else's, your neighbors or people you don't even know. Sometimes you just pick up their issues. So the moment you're feeling overwhelmed and bogged down and not feeling good, ask, okay, who does this belong to? Is this mine? Just these 2 questions are very essential in finding out what is true for you. So 99% of the thoughts, feelings, emotions don't really belong to you. Whatever that you have at that moment are not yours, okay? And this particularly applies to those moments where you seem to be really, really overwhelmed with too much or too many people or an overload of information and you just don't know what to do. Who does this belong to? Is this mine? Is it someone else's or is it something else? Send it all back to the sender with consciousness attached, right, wrong, good, bad, what, all night, just boys and beyond. So this is an exercise I would invite you guys to do every day if possible. And yeah, download that app on your phone and it's a free app. Just what will that create for you? And the other process is that can really lift that stress and anxiety is wherever you are, okay, even in your workplace, just lower your barriers. Barriers are these imaginary walls that we have all around us. Just lower your barriers. Like literally physically do that if you want to, the first time when you're doing it, but other times in the office, obviously you can't do that. Just ask your barriers to go down. Just say barriers down. That's all you have to say, okay? And get a sense of your feet on the ground for about 60 seconds, okay? Just focus on the sense of your feet and where they're touching the ground. Now you get the sense of your legs, your hands, your head, your whole body, okay? Now what happens is, why we're doing that? That's gonna make you more present in your body, okay? When you're you might just sort of notice that you're becoming fully aware of your body and more present with your body when you're getting a sense of that, okay? And then ask and expand out, okay? Expand your being out, like get It's like 10 kilometers all around you and beyond and out into the universe. Just expand and ask, especially when you're getting overwhelmed and bogged down, ask, what kindness can I be for myself and my body today? What choices can I make today that my future self will thank me for? What can I receive here? And who does this belong to? Send it all back to the center with consciousness with attached, right? And when you ask, what kindness can I do for my body today? It might be like, okay, just get up and go for a walk, or just go sit in the park, or whatever. You'll get some sort of awareness. You might want to go meet a friend or something. Even if it's for 10 to 15 minutes, that walk, if you get a sense of it, just get up and just excuse yourself and go for that walk. Just go out, maybe go hug a tree or something. It'll just sort of open up a huge space for you. Just be present and keep asking questions. And that's the key to start creating so much more and being present and more aware with the choices that you're making. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. I mean, I kept talking. I didn't really give you guys a chance to talk so much or ask so many questions, but thank you so much for joining in. It was just so awesome. And I will be sending you the recordings very soon, and hope to see you in some of the classes very soon. There are some classes coming up. You can find out more on smritigoswami.com. There is a lot of information. And yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Smriti.
thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.